According to Darrell West, the director of the Center for Technology and Innovations at the Brookings Institute, quote, opinion surveys show that even top business leaders lack a detailed sense of AI, and that ordinary people confuse it with superpowered robots and hyper-intelligent devices. With so much of the future being centered around the continued development of technology, why is one of the biggest emerging technologies such a mystery to the majority of the population? Throughout this speech, I hope to change some of that by informing you on the history of artificial intelligence, its uses in the fields of healthcare and the military, and what a future alongside this technology could look like. Before we can describe its uses, you must first understand what it is. West defines it as, quote, machines that respond to stimulation consistent with traditional responses from humans, given the human capacity for contemplation, judgment, and intention. This basically means that when a computer is stimulated, either by a program or verbally, it will give a response similar to what a human would give. There are two different types of artificial intelligence. There is machine learning, and there's handcrafted. One of the differences, quote, a machine learning algorithm runs on a training data set that produces an AI model. To a large extent, a machine learning system programs itself. That's coming from Allen. This means that they take a large data set, nowadays primarily from the internet, and uses correlation to set its own set of rules. When people hear the term AI, this is the type they generally think of. Allen, when talking about the handcrafted AI, says, quote, the intelligence of handcrafted knowledge systems is merely a very large list of rules in the form of if given X input, then give Y output. This form of AI is not generally considered artificial intelligence by the general public. Most would just call it computer programming. Now that we know what artificial intelligence is, it's time to discuss where it came from. In 1936, Alan Turing first proposed the idea for what is now modern-day computers. Quote, Turing proposed a machine today called a Turing machine that's capable of computing anything that is mathematically computable. That's coming from Guy Warwick, and this is an example of it, what it might look like up there. Turing said that computers need to be able to complete reasoning puzzles as well as humans in order to be considered intelligent. Although it was not called artificial intelligence back then, as the term was not used until 1956, when John McCarthy, considered the father of modern AI, coined the term in a speech given at Dartmouth College. For a good bit of early history, computers were nothing but souped-up calculators used by the military and for the censuses. Because of this, artificial intelligence was largely unknown to the general population. It got its first major coverage in 1997 when an IBM computer defeated a chess grandmaster for the first time. Nowadays, the big thing with AI is autonomous driving. The rapid advancement of this is because of the development of machine learning, because it used to rely on if-then-else statements, and this was not effective as there were just too many possibilities for them to code for. As in if-then-else statements, you have to program for each possibility. And that is coming from Agrawal and others. This is more effective. AI today is more effective due to four main reasons. First is larger data sets. This has become mostly through the access of the internet, and machine learning requires thousands of data pieces in order to be able to set its own rules. Second is the increased computing power. Machine learning has only been capable in the last 10 years due to lack of advanced computers. Third is more effective algorithms, something fairly self-explanatory. And fourth is open source code libraries, which now means that nobody ever has to start their program from scratch. Now that we're up to date on the history, it's time to see how it's being used in the field of medical care. Artificial intelligence plays a major role now in medicine, especially the field of radiology, or interpreting medical images. Quote, AI plays a significant role in scanning technologies such as X-rays, computed tomography, magnetic resonance imaging, and three-dimensional scanners. These are helpful to make better decisions regarding the patient. That's coming from Halim and others. This is something it can do just as well as humans at the moment, and without the experienced fatigue or emotion. This has led to AI to start taking over some of these jobs in hospitals. Come from Guy Warwick. Other areas where it's being utilized include surgery, where it's used to make decisions and reduce risk in surgery. It can be used to help predict diseases and monitor patients. Finally, it can help train in medical students so they are more prepared when they enter the workforce, and it overall reduce costs at the hospital. artificial intelligence in medicine is saving lives, but it is also saving numerous lives in the military. Just how important is AI in the military? Quote, in 2017, the U.S. dedicated $12 billion for the development of AI weapons or autonomous weapons used for surveillance, cyber protection and attacks, and strategy decisions. According to Sarah Sultan, AI is the next frontier of military weaponry. Current autonomous weapons are being used to detect and track adversaries in its designated area. Quote, the artificial intelligence powering the targeting will need to be focused on precisely these strategic targets worth concerning its firepower on and alerting the performance operator, also coming from Sultan. She then goes on to say that it will eventually be able to prevent surprise missile attacks by tracking and shooting down enemy rockets before they are able to detonate. There's also one distinct advantage of this type of surveillance, as it does not get fatigued. The problem with it, however, is that it can easily be manipulated by a bad input or bad data set, as right now they still rely on human input for that. But as long as these systems conform to the important human values, there's little risk of AI going rogue and becoming a danger. However, if software is poorly designed or based on incomplete or biased information, it can endanger humanity and repeat past injustices. That's coming from West. This is essentially saying that AI is about as risky as we make it. As military technology advances, similar technologies are going to develop in other areas. Quote, the most important skills in the future will be those of judgment, ethics, emotion, and creativity, coming from Agarwal and others. These are all skills that AI is incapable of developing. The advancement of artificial intelligence does not come without its drawbacks, however. According to the Oxford University, 2030's tech will endanger about 47% of American jobs and replace approximately 30% of the workforce. These intelligence systems will need to be managed, as demonstrated by the Microsoft chatbot Tay, an example in that bottom right corner there. Tay was a chatbot initially designed to go on Twitter and just have casual conversations with its users. However, after getting enough input from Twitter users, it eventually had to be shut down the same day for immoral messaging. That's coming from Sultan. While there are, of course, risks, there are also some benefits to it. Quote, AI will soon be able to detect someone entering a room and automatically adjust the lights, heating and cooling, and which can reduce energy costs. Autonomous cars will also eventually be able to communicate potholes, traffic, and road construction with others, so they can adjust their route to potentially avoid some of that. That's coming from West. Just like anything, there are positive and negative effects to artificial intelligence. Its development is largely based on how much risk we are willing to take in order to get the greatest possible reward. Throughout this speech, I have provided a variety of information on this very important technology. I hope you have learned about how we got to where we are today and where we are potentially going. And this was a quote from Darrell West. With the appropriate safeguards, countries can move forward and gain the benefits of artificial intelligence and emerging technologies without sacrificing the important qualities that define humanity. Thank you for listening to my speech.